Right now, some troubling signs for our local economy. Chances are you or someone you know works in the hospitality industry, but tourism numbers showing a continued decline right here in Southern Nevada, and that dip in visitors is causing a big concern.
International tourism is definitely down. Over 50%. Over 50% of the people I get in my store are international people, and I see that as down, especially for
airline bookings and future hotel bookings, starting to drop somewhat, both internationally and.
$2.3 billion. That's what it took to build a vision so bold it was meant to redefine what entertainment could be. Rising out of the desert lights of Las Vegas, the Sphere wasn't built to blend in. It was built to dominate, to pull every eye toward its glowing skin and every heartbeat toward its sound. When it opened, it felt unstoppable. Crowds poured in, cameras flashed, and for a while, the city seemed to have found a new kind of magic. Every show was a spectacle, every night a reminder that technology and art could collide in ways no one had ever experienced before. But the higher it climbed, the heavier the pressure became. The costs, the expectations, the headlines, they all began to turn. What happened to the dream that promised to change everything? Was it too ambitious? Too soon? Or is there still a chance for the Sphere to rise again? When the Sphere first came to life over the Las Vegas skyline, it felt as if something out of science fiction had finally crossed into reality. The colossal orb gleamed above the Strip, commanding attention with every pulse of color that rippled across its curved surface. Layered with more than 50 million LED lights, it became an ever-changing planet of light, glowing with surreal beauty against the dark Nevada sky. Tourists crowded nearby rooftops and sidewalks to capture its shimmering patterns, their phones raised in awe as traffic slowed to a crawl. Long before its doors opened, the Sphere had already become an icon, a physical expression of human imagination turned tangible, a building that looked alive. Walking through its entrance felt like stepping beyond the limits of the real world. The interior wasn't a theater in any traditional sense. It was an enormous digital world, wrapping audiences in a 360-degree canvas of motion, light, and sound. The domed screen climbed higher than most city buildings, surrounding everyone inside in a swirl of shifting imagery so vivid it felt almost alive. The sound design added another layer of wonder. Thousands of carefully placed speakers created the sensation that every note and whisper came from the exact spot it was meant to, giving the illusion that the air itself had been engineered for performance. Critics called it a new frontier in entertainment. Musicians and filmmakers described it as the future. It wasn't simply a venue. It was an experience that dissolved the boundary between the audience and the art itself. Its debut was nothing short of a cultural event. When U2 launched their highly anticipated residency, it became the show the world couldn't stop talking about. Tickets vanished within minutes, while clips from inside the Sphere flooded social media feeds and racked up millions of views. People described the concerts as sensory storms, an overwhelming blend of sound and sight that made every other performance space feel outdated. The momentum grew with Postcard from Earth, directed by Darren Aronofsky, whose visionary work had already pushed cinema to its extremes. Built specifically for the Sphere, the film turned the dome into a window across the planet, soaring over oceans, deserts, and mountain ranges in seamless transitions that left audiences speechless. Some viewers claimed the immersion was so intense it disoriented them, as if their minds couldn't separate what was real from what was being projected. For a brief, electrifying moment, the Sphere became the beating heart of global entertainment. Investors and executives saw an empire in the making. The company behind it, Sphere Entertainment, promised a revolution in how humans experience media. The tone was triumphant. Press conferences filled with grand visions, promises of global expansion, and talk of rewriting the rules of live performance. On the surface, it all seemed unstoppable. The Sphere was proof that ambition, artistry, and technology could merge into something extraordinary. Yet beneath the glittering exterior, cracks were already forming, hidden behind layers of spectacle. The glow that lit up the Strip was fueled by a business model that was quickly unraveling. The first financial report revealed the truth no one wanted to face. In its opening months, the Sphere recorded an operating loss nearing $100 million. The sold-out concerts, the international attention, and the viral success hadn't been enough to balance the books. By the end of the fiscal year, the loss had swollen to more than $500 million. It wasn't a temporary setback or a matter of unpaid construction bills. It was a repeating pattern that showed the operation itself was unsustainable. Every quarter brought deeper losses, hinting at a dream too costly to maintain. Running the Sphere turned out to be as monumental as building it. Every component required constant care. The LEDs, the projection systems, the intricate network of servers and sound equipment. The air conditioning alone had to regulate a massive space packed with thousands of visitors under the heat of the desert. On top of that came maintenance teams, engineers, insurance and security for a 17,000-seat venue that never truly slept. The building functioned like a living organism, and keeping it alive cost millions each week. Meanwhile, revenue wasn't keeping up. U2's shows generated excitement, but much of the profit went to the band. Aronofsky's Postcard from Earth drew crowds at first, but attendance began to thin once the initial buzz faded. The experience, while mesmerizing, offered little incentive to return. Unlike a theatre show that changes cast or a concert tour that evolves over time, the Sphere's programming stayed the same. Once visitors had witnessed its grandeur, the mystery was gone. Sphere Entertainment attempted to adapt. Ticket prices dropped from premium levels around $119 to about $98 in an effort to attract a wider audience. To understand how things reached this point, many turned their attention to James Dolan, the driving force behind it all. Dolan's name was already well known in American entertainment and sports. As head of Madison Square Garden and owner of the New York Knicks, his career was marked by ambition, controversy, and an almost defiant confidence in his own decisions. Fans of the Knicks knew his reputation: long losing streaks, management disputes, and a stubborn leadership style that sparked endless debate. MSG had faced lawsuits and backlash for various policies, including the use of facial recognition technology at its venues. But through every controversy, Dolan kept moving forward, convinced that his instincts were right. The Sphere was his boldest move yet, the culmination of years of ambition. He wanted to build something that would redefine the way audiences interacted with art, music, and storytelling. It wasn't meant to compete with theatres or arenas, it was meant to render them obsolete. To achieve that, Dolan spared no expense. The Sphere's LED panels were custom-built, the sound system was engineered from scratch, and specialised teams were hired to design content exclusively for its screens. He even launched a dedicated production studio to craft experiences that could exist nowhere else. For Dolan, this was more than a business project. It was a statement. A legacy meant to prove that imagination could reshape reality. The early triumphs seemed to validate his vision. The press coverage was glowing. Celebrities praised the venue, and every show drew international attention. The Sphere became a landmark of modern ambition, an architectural symbol of human potential. But as financial pressures mounted, the very traits that once defined Dolan as a visionary began to resemble flaws. When ambition meets unlimited resources, it can blur the line between inspiration and excess. In Dolan's case, that line started to fade. As budgets swelled and deadlines shifted, criticism inside the company grew quieter. Bold ideas that once sounded revolutionary became financial risks that no one wanted to challenge. The Sphere had been built to dazzle, but in chasing perfection, it may have outspent its own future. Enthusiasm and innovation can build marvels, but they can't rewrite economic reality. Even the most advanced technology ages quickly. Audiences crave novelty, and the pace of digital entertainment moves faster than any one venue can evolve. Keeping the Sphere relevant will require constant reinvention, new content, new partnerships, and a reason for people to return again and again. Without that, the project that once symbolized limitless imagination could become an expensive monument to overreach. So where did the $2.3 billion go? To trace that kind of spending is to follow a story of grand ambition built on steel, light, and sound. Nearly $1.4 billion of it went directly into the structure itself. The massive dome, the curved skeleton of steel and concrete, and the sea of custom-designed LED panels that cover its outer shell. Every detail was engineered from the ground up to survive the brutal desert heat, withstand tremors, and support one of the most complex entertainment systems on Earth. Inside, the design became even more intricate, built to immerse over 17,000 people in an experience that felt entirely disconnected from the outside world. The structure wasn't only an arena, it was a technological organism, alive with movement and sound. Then came the heart of the project, the technology. Roughly $600 million went toward the cutting edge of motion, sound, and visual engineering. The Sphere's sound system became one of the most advanced ever installed, with thousands of speakers hidden behind walls, each precisely tuned to deliver audio directly to individual seats. The screen stretched across 16,000 pixels in height, swallowing audiences in lifelike images that reacted to movement and perspective. Every piece of it was custom-made, tested, and re-engineered countless times before opening night. Nothing was off the shelf, and with that came extraordinary costs. What emerged was not a typical concert hall, but an entirely new sensory world. A blend of art and science that pushed the limits of what an entertainment venue could be. The remaining $300 million was spread across everything else, the operational backbone that kept the Sphere alive. That money covered salaries, consultants, permits, marketing, legal expenses, and the creation of Sphere Studios, the in-house production hub, meant to craft original content exclusively for the venue. These were the hidden systems behind the spectacle, the parts that didn't make headlines but were essential to the dream's survival. Yet within those figures lay a painful truth. Most of that spending can never be recovered. The steel, the panels, the custom-built software, and the staff exist to maintain the illusion, not to generate steady profit. The Sphere's survival depends on movement, ticket sales, and constant audience flow. When that momentum slows, the entire structure begins to strain. Complicating matters further, Sphere Entertainment's parent company, MSG Networks, is facing its own mounting challenges. With more than $850 million in debt and repayment deadlines closing in, the financial pressure is growing severe. Refinancing options are shrinking as interest rates rise, and investor patience is thinning. The Sphere was supposed to be the breakthrough, the bold innovation that would propel MSG into a new era of profitability. Instead, it is beginning to resemble an expensive burden that demands more money than it can return. What stings most for shareholders is that even with every seat sold, profitability remains elusive. The cost of operating the venue is immense. Energy bills, maintenance, security, staffing, and production all carry enormous price tags. The break-even point lies far beyond what ticket revenue alone can reach. The Sphere's business model requires near-constant programming to stay afloat, but sustaining that level of activity in one location has proven nearly impossible. The result is a venue that dazzles millions but drains resources behind the scenes. It's a brilliant creation caught in a flawed equation. The technology, design, and creativity are exceptional, but the economics don't align with that ambition. Every new show requires massive investment in both production and engineering. Each piece of custom content must recover its cost within a single venue. When new material takes months or years to develop, the Sphere sits underutilized, its vast potential idling while expenses continue to accumulate. Over time, that imbalance grows sharper, and the distance between innovation and profitability widens. Still, Sphere Entertainment is not standing still. Inside its boardrooms, plans are forming to shift direction and save the concept from collapse. The focus now is expansion, but through a smarter and less risky model. Instead of pouring billions into building new spheres themselves, the company aims to license its technology and brand to outside investors across the globe. One of the first serious discussions is unfolding in Abu Dhabi, where interest in constructing a similar venue is gaining traction. Under this model, local partners would finance and build the structure, while Sphere provides the design, technology, and creative expertise. The company would then earn through licensing fees, technology integration, and shared content rights, avoiding the crushing cost of construction. So, while millions continue to gaze up at the glowing dome, the real drama unfolds far from the spotlight in boardrooms and accounting offices where the fate of this billion-dollar dream is being decided. What are your thoughts on this? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe for more, and we will catch you in the next one.